Never ever have enough time to play it all. You know everybody wants to walk in someone else's shoes. Everyone's forgotten who they are. Such a crime to waste his time.
We are back at Workbench Pass here at the Otter Creek in Rio Grande. Now, when I decided to start working on scenery, I can't remember if it was in September or October, I kind of set a mini goal for myself to have, as much of this completed before the end of the year. And it's the first weekend in December, and I think, with any luck at all, I can have all of the landforms, at least up until this area right here completed. And I think I can even get some things accomplished on the backside of the mine area here all the way to the end of the plywood. That's what I would like to do. We'll see how this goes. I think the thing I want to accomplish this weekend is everything kind of through here, including the shoe, which I've got the offcut from the left shoe, so to speak. I've got the offcut on it, and I think I'm just going to, flip it 90 degrees to the right and put it up there and see how it looks. So enough of me talking. Let's get started doing some things. I've got a few pieces of foam glued in here on the back side of this track, and then I've got the foam going all the way around the loop here. And then I've got two pieces. I think those are 3/4 inch. I think they're both 3/4 inch all the way on the back side. And then there's just a little bit of an air gap between the wall and the foam, which I think is going to be perfect. Eventually, I will probably shave some of that off to represent, a downward motion. There's a drop off into a valley there. That's the idea. And I'm at a point where I need to do some experimentation because I'm not entirely sure how this is going to work through here. What I'm trying to convey, I don't know if it's going to work. If this landform, is a larger geographical feature that continues all the way down to this point, can I tie whatever I'm going to do there where, I've made the little outcropping for the road to go around? Can I tie that in all the way up? It might be a pipe dream, but I'm going to give it a shot. I just don't know exactly how I'm going to go about doing it. And then I'm pretty sure, from this point coming this way, I for sure am going to use cardboard strips and the brown paper through there. And then through here, I don't know yet. Just kind of thinking out loud at the moment. Of course, this over here is going to be a whole nother thing I'll probably talk about eventually. Not there yet, not ready to even think about it too much. But I'm going to do some experimentation here and see what I come up with. I'm happy with where the cardboard strips and paper is going at the moment. Now the challenge is going to be blending it in with the foam rock and the rest of the area, but I think it's going in the right direction. So let me move the camera and we'll talk about a few things over here to the left. I thought I would show this particular perspective here, which is directly above where I sit and model. And you can see I've done a few more things to the foam rock right there. I'll probably go ahead and show some pictures of what it looked like before I began, so you have an idea of where it started and where it's at now. Just in case there's some new subscribers in here who doesn't really remember what it looked like. Hopefully you can kind of see where this is going. I'm fairly satisfied with this just as it is right now. There's a few things in there, the longer you sit and look at something, the more tweaks you can kind of see that you don't like particularly, if I can point it, this little shape right in there looks a little weird, like something that nature didn't make. I'll make some adjustments there, just little bitty tweaks, but I'm really satisfied with where it's going. There's something that can be said about how you carve this foam, and I want to talk just a little bit about that. Let me move the camera. As we look at what I've carved, kind of moving from the left to the right here, and to a certain degree that's also chronologically how it was done. You can see that there's quite a bit of variance in the different carving techniques, I guess is probably the best way to describe it. And I would say right now, I'm just now getting to the point to where I feel like I can carve with a little bit of intent of what I'm wanting to accomplish. A lot of it's been experimental, a learning process. And, here it's definitely a little more rounded, and my recesses are far more pronounced than anything here or up there. And then over here on this one, they're really shallow and they're larger sections of rock. So I guess where I'm at, I'm ready to work on the shoe over here on this end. And I also think I'm ready to maybe lay some paper in on this side. And I think the trick is, can I make this is what I'm thinking right now, whatever rock face I end up with there on the shoe, I would like it to match this. Kind of the idea is that this area, and I'm sorry for moving the camera as much as I am, but maybe this area is a little different geology. And to be clear, damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a geologist. but the thought is that this landform is different than this one. And then I think I said before, I'm trying to tie that into this. So I'm perfectly okay with this not looking necessarily like this. At least that's the thought. And, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, when that K27 or K36 rolls through there with a long freight drag, I'm going to be tickled pink. Pardon the pink pun, but I'm really going to enjoy it, and it will be what I want it to be, I think, without a doubt, regardless of all of the over processing that I'm doing right now. It's just how I think, how I work, and I'm just bringing you guys along. So let's move on to something else. Now, as you look at this, you have to keep in mind that the shape is not complete, which, you know, I know it's obvious because this is going to wrap around this way. And at this point, I'm just hoping that I haven't taken a step forward that will prove to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Premature. You know, because what I really want to do is I want to get this finished in a way that I can paint the background, the backdrop. So I'm really looking forward to that. I haven't done anything like that in a while, and I think it would be a good break from some of the other stuff I've been doing. I'm not sure if you can see from the camera perspective, but this does kind of lean out and over the track through here. Thought that might be a nice change. Once this paper gets wet, you can kind of manipulate it a little bit and create some extra shapes that maybe you didn't see before you started painting, if painting is the right word. All right, I think it's just a matter of kind of letting it dry now, and I want to finish up talking about this over here. Now, as I stand here today, it's actually December 12th, and I've got 5 videos, give or take, ahead of this one. And, you know, my goal before the end of 2025, you know, because I kind of reset my goals, and I might talk about that in another video, maybe even one you've already watched. But, you know, when I reset my goals, I wanted to have Workbench Pass kind of in a state ready to paint and apply ground scenery to. And I'm pretty close to that. I don't know if I'll make it or not, but I'm pretty close. So I've got 2 things that I want to get done before the new year, and that's kind of roughed in ground, you know, foam groundwork, you know, the scenery base back here behind the mine. And if I get that accomplished, I've got some bench work things that need to take place in here, because, you know, eventually I'm going to have to carry this forward. And in order for any of this to kind of make sense, I would like to have whatever structure that's going to support, you know, whatever it is I use in here. I've had a lot of people screaming at me for chicken wire and things like that, and I think this would be a good candidate maybe for chicken wire, because I am dealing with such a large shape. That might be the best way to go. But before I do any of that, I need to remove some of these cross joists in there so I can get in there and work a little bit easier. Not gonna kind of get into how I'm gonna do that, because that'll probably be a future video sometime in 2026. But nonetheless, I'm liking what I'm seeing, and good things to come later on. And thanks for watching the Otter Creek and Rio Grande. We'll see you around.